Lee Mallett from Mallett Buildings. Always start off talking about home improvement registers. They're not licensed contractors. Folks, be careful of these guys. They walk around with these one-page contracts. You're going to get in trouble with them. It's just a matter of time. If you have a problem, they've got themselves so protected. Whereas my contract is over 30-something pages. I'm going to go over every possible problem we're going to have. After 22 years in the business, this is what these other guys should have. They already copied part of it, but they don't want to get pinned down like I'm going to pin me down versus us being on the same page. Also, I'm going to remind you, if you buy a Mallet building with 900 square feet or more, you get a free pellet mill or a Gator ice chest, which is comparable to a Yeti. Then we're going to talk about the specification sheet. If you're going to build a building, I would like for you, if you're going to call around and get your bids. When you get my bid, be sure you send this specification sheet with my bid to make sure that we are bidding apples to apples. If we're bidding apples to apples, they should initial that they're going to do everything that's on this page and sign it. You now have a legally binding document that these documents do not do for you, that they pass around. That'll protect you. Now, the other thing, we have the Mallet Building Challenge, which means if you'd like for me to go to your house, if the competitor is willing to go to your house, so we can both make our presentations so that you can make a good decision who you do business with, I'm ready and willing. So my challenge to all these competitors out there who aren't licensed contractors, who run around these one-page contracts, let's get it on. Call me. I'll be glad to go. Now, the main thing I want to talk today is I'm going to talk about concrete fiber mesh versus steel mesh. In the old days, everybody used a steel mesh. And you notice I said in the old days. In the old days, we didn't have telephones, we didn't have a lot of things. Now, what my competitors are trying to tell you is that you need to be using steel mesh. I had a client that came in today, I happened to walk through, who recognizes from all my other videos. He says, what about this? So I decided today we'd talk about that. The fiber mesh is the future. The steel is not. And there's two types of steel out there. You got the roll or you got the sheets. Now, today somebody took a picture and sent it to me of a competitor's job. And if you notice, see that roll of steel? Right here. Folks, you ever open one of those? That thing is like a rubber band. So what the industry did, even they knew it was a problem, they went to sheets. Because when you have sheets, you can put the lifts, which keep the mesh, the wire mesh, at a constant height. But we'll get to that next. The problem with this is, how are you going to keep that stuff down? Are they going to stomp it down and they're going to walk it down in the concrete? They're going to have to, because I'm telling you, go buy a roll or ask anybody else, they'll tell you, oh, he's right about that stuff. The stuff is just spongy, it's like a rubber band. So they got to step on it and get it into concrete for the concrete to hold it down. The problem with that is, while they're stomping it, they're probably putting it about this far from the ground or on the ground. Therefore, it serves no purpose. Absolutely none. Now, what most people in the industry that do to still use that stuff, they buy the sheets. And the sheets you can get a different size, but basically like a 4x20. And then they have the lifts they sit on the farm, and the sheets sitting there at the right height. Okay? Can't do that with that. And I'm telling you, I guarantee you that's what they're holding out there, because it's cheaper. Everything they do is cheap, or try to be cheap. So, you bring the sheets out there and it's sitting on the lifts. Set, metal sitting on top. The problem with that is, we're pouring concrete's heavy. What keeps that same thing happening here? Not as bad, but how they get the concrete there? You've been to a concrete pour. They're walking all over it. They're pulling concrete. They're doing all this. They're all in a hurry. They're trying to get that concrete on the ground. You have no way to prove that wire is where it needs to be. It's impossible. You have to assume that he didn't walk on it hard enough or it stayed right there. You have no protection. Absolutely none. Now, let's compare that to fiber. fiber is actually mixed in the truck. Okay, the fiber is spread throughout the concrete. Okay, so the strength of the fiber is consistent. I pulled up an engineering report. I'm going to go over a few advantages of mesh over wire. One, it's quicker and easier to work with. That's no big deal. Few things can go wrong on site when using fiber mesh concrete. That's what they're talking. That's what I'm talking about. This stuff is coming up. You know, they're having to push this down in the concrete. Whereas mesh, you don't have to do that. Synthetic fibers are corrosion resistant, while wire mesh is not in concrete. That goes back to my same argument or theory about the post. Why do I put a post protector on a post? Yes, I do not want the organisms to touch the post. But the main thing is I surely don't want the concrete to come in contact with the treated post. The treated post has chemicals. The concrete has chemicals. I can show you pictures. Okay. So the wire mesh can corrode. The maintenance costs involved in warehousing decreases since the need for construction joints decreases as eliminated. So there's a lot of advantages to wire mesh. But my competitors try to separate us from that. But if you want to put wire mesh, I'll put it. It's okay. I don't recommend it. I don't put it in my slabs. And I won't ever do that because of the reasons I'm telling you. Now, I want to talk a little bit about that today, because that's one of the things the competitors are trying to say they do, we don't do. We do it for a reason. We do it because the future is here. And the future is not what we did 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. The future is the wire, is the mesh, because it's throughout the concrete. There's no issue about it. Well, I got a question. Okay, warranty. Buildings are rated 130 miles an hour, but no building has a warranty against a tornado. Okay, so our buildings, we got the Mallet building rated 130 miles an hour, the quality building's 125, and the regular building's 120. But if you get a tornado, it's gonna do what it wants to do. Okay, hope I've answered your question. If you have any more questions, you ever call me and I'll be glad to tell you. But the problem, if you're talking about Laura had over 500 spermed tornadoes reported. Nothing is going to stop a tornado. The vortex is just too strong. They're going to run in the 140, 150 mile an hour. They have tremendous strength. And I don't care if it's steel, I don't care if it's wood, I don't care what it is. It's going to do that. And they operate like this. They're moving out all over the place. Okay? The headwind of a hurricane, is coming at you. That's a headwind. Okay? The posts are going to take it because they're anchored 3 feet in the ground, versus steel or versus stick frame, because they're just sitting on. Let's say this is the slab. The anchor bolts are the only thing holding it. Whereas in the post frame construction, all the posts are working in conjunction. But we can engineer more than that. But remember, a tornado, and when you start talking about hurricane like Laura came, I think, at 100, I'm trying to remember now, 150, I think, somewhere in there. Just a tremendous hurricane. But the main thing is look, I've had building sustained damage, go through hurricanes right there on the coast, right there in Cameron, Louisiana. I got a picture. It was the only thing left standing. But it was designed on the coast, and we had put in a lot more reinforcement. But they've gone through 2 or 3 hurricanes. You'll peel the metal and stuff off of it, but it'll hurt the foundation. On the question of on your building, is it the sheathing? Because the sheathing can just take so much, even though it's screwed. But the buildings are designed for 130 mile an hour wind load. So you have to understand. But if you have any more questions, call me personally, 337-515-2154. I'd be glad to answer your question. Some things are too strong. Take the Calchamine Tower. That was probably designed for 150, 160 mile an hour. I don't know what hit it, but it's structurally unsound. It sits there. Imagine that. So you have to understand, when hurricanes come in, there's a lot of factors pushing around in a hurricane. Tornadoes, wind loads, wind gusts, there's just there's a lot of factors that can cause issues with a storm. But like I said, we engineer them at 130 miles an hour. So anyway, hold on one second.
Could the building be rebuilt on the same foundation as destroyed?
Can the building be rebuilt in post frame? Yes, it's possible. Depends on the post. But the easiest way to do it is to cut out where the posts are. Okay, nobody's going to take and go. Nobody that I know that worth their salt's going to take and rebuild on that slab without doing something to the slab. So what you'd have to do, if the posts are still good, yeah, you can get right back on top of it. If that's what the condition of the frame is. But what you have to do is you could cut out where the posts are. Okay, so you're going to reset the post. Before you reset the post, we're going to do some things to that post, and we're going to put some rebar and different things down in that hole to secure it again. Okay, we're going to dial in. We're going to do a lot of different things. But yeah, you can do it. But we got to reset. We're going to have to redo the whole slab. I do not recommend building on top of the slab because you have no strength. But you got to cut them out to get back to that wind load. You got to get them cut out, and then we can redesign it and redo the building for you.
Do you build barn dominiums?
I build barn dominiums, the shells. I'm a licensed general contractor. I'm a licensed residential contractor. I'm very capable of doing the other stuff. But I'm going to tell you that when you start talking about a barn dominium, on the house side, I'll build the complete shell. The outside will be completely done. The slab is poured. Before I pour the slab, you're going to rough in the plumbing. I'm going to pour the slab. Okay, so the outside is complete. The windows are installed. The doors are installed. The outside is completed. Whereas in stick frame, they're going to frame it, and then you still got to either put brick or some type of siding. The roof is not on. Whereas when we complete the frame out, the outside's done. Concrete's poured. Your rough-in plumbing's done. Now, I'm quite capable of doing it the other way. We don't specialize in that. We do that occasionally. But let me tell you why you don't need to do that. Under the law, you can be your own contractor. You can pick up the phone and call a plumber just like I can. You can pick up the phone and call an electrician just like I can. You can pick up the phone and call a guy to come hang sheetrock. You may want to paint it yourself, do a little sweat equity. If you're trying to save money, the outside's finished working inside, bid it out yourself. Because if you use us or a contractor, we're going to make a profit. Because we're going to take control of the job. I'm quite capable of it. I'm one of the few in the post frame industry around here that I know of that's even a licensed contractor. That's why you got to be careful of these cats that are representing themselves to be licensed contractors when in essence they're just, like I said, they can only build up to $75,000. All of a sudden at $75,001, they become stupid. They don't know nothing about construction. That don't even make sense. How can you build up to 75, but you can't build at $75,001? It just doesn't make sense. It's a crazy law, and it shouldn't be there. And I'm gonna do everything in my power to get rid of that, because you become accountable when you become a licensed contractor. But yes, we do build the shells. We'll help you design it. But we're so busy. Look, we build anywhere from 15 to 18 buildings a week. We're shipping that many buildings out a week. So our crews are so tied up doing that we just don't really have the time to do the inside work. But if you go to the LBC website, there will be classifications and all the things you need to bid, a list of all the plumbers in your area, by state, by parish, not state, but by parish, by city. You can see them all. And they're all licensed. Electrician, plumber, air conditioning guy, sheetrock, everything you need is right there for you to make a good decision on hiring a licensed contractor right there on the site. I'm chairman of the licensing board. And we're going to tight ship, and I can tell you, you're going to get you some quality people. Okay, just follow the LSLB website, and you get all the people you need. But that's where you're going to save money. Okay, in today's world, I'm going to give you my opinion of something. In today's world, if you hire a contractor based on the price of wood, labor, all the new things that are going on in this new world we live in, you're going to probably get a bid back from a contractor in the range of anywhere from $125 all the way to $160 per square foot, complete. And that depends on what type of fixtures you pick. There's a lot of factors that go into that, okay? Now, if you let me build you the shell on a residential construction, because the trusses have got to be closer, there's more detail to that, okay? And as licensed contractors, we're liable for 5 years on foundation failure. So it costs more when you switch from an accessory building to a barndominium or residential structure. You can take the accessory structure and do it. People do it all the time. But I'll tell you that when you start talking about a barndominium, for us to go in and be the contractor of record to do that before you take over, you're probably looking around anywhere from $30 to $35 a square foot. The shell is complete, the concrete's poured. Okay? You, if you become your own contractor, should be able to get the rest done anywhere between $50 and $60 a square foot. So you're going to get in that between 85 and 90 versus 125 or versus 160. If you do your own painting, you'll bring your price down. The more sweat equity you put into the structure, the more money you're going to save. But you will be bidding directly. Let me tell you something else about building barndominiums. You're going to do it yourself. Buy the materials, whatever contractor you use, they'll give me a labor price. Buy your own materials. Okay? You just want a labor price, because they're gonna tack on a profit on the materials. Now, it's your call. Some people don't want to deal with it. That's okay, but that's why you're gonna pay. You're gonna pay $150, $160 square foot. So you're way up there. Okay. So there's several ways to do it, but if you have any more questions, feel free to call me at 337-515-2154. You can call the office at 337-214-0428. Be glad to help you in any way we can. Remember, watch those guys within one-page contracts. Watch them. They're not licensed contractors. Once again, thank you for listening. Hope you share this. I try to come and do this every day, twice a day. But sometimes I do have to leave, and so don't be upset if one of my salespeople or one of the people in my organization takes my place. I can't be here 24/7 because I do serve on 3 boards. So I'm going quite a bit, and I have other things going on with all the companies around. But I try to be here as much as I can and be direct. But so sometimes you won't see me. It'll probably be someone else when I'm not in town, or I've got to run an errand, or whatever's going on. But anyway, thank you for listening. Once again, share it, and look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. How many people you had? You must have a few